Hello, guys. Welcome back to Starcast Circuit Marks. Along with Chris, my name is Ryan, and I am a very depressed Stars fan right now. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. I am your host, Ryan Chambers, once again. I have a degree in Dallas Starsology from the University of Dallas, and I minored in sadness and depression, and I also have a degree in Dallas Stars therapy. So this tonight will be a Dallas Stars therapy session for all of you out there. The Dallas Stars lose to the worst team in the NHL tonight by a final score of 4-1 to the Columbus Blue Jackets without their best goaltender, without their best player, and had 2 goals called back in the second period when it could have been 3-1 at one point. So, Chris, how are you doing?
That was an interesting start to the podcast.
I thought today deserved an interesting intro considering the interesting game that we just witnessed. I can't even say watched.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about this game tonight? I think this episode's gonna be real fast.
Yeah, the Stars pretty much sucked in every single facet. They got going a little bit in the second period, had some goals called back, and really didn't show any pushback after it really either. So we had one player make a good play. It was tied to Landria, and the other two, I mean, you can complain all you want about review calls and whatever, but they were illegal. They were called back. It's the worst team in the league. It doesn't matter. You should still win. So pretty heartless effort tonight by the Stars, in my opinion.
And I'm not even going to yell and scream tonight because I used all of my energy last night screaming about that game. And I don't know what people expect at this point. I mean, I rang the bells early about this, and when people were saying, "Oh, they're losing," but they're still getting a loser point. Okay, now we've officially lost. Now, how are you feeling about this? Because this team has not been the same team that it was October to December. Something in January flipped, and ever since then, we saw some very interesting and crazy statistics when it comes to the Stars. The first one that I wanted to point out is they are now 0-19 since the All-Star break. They are now 5
on the power play.
On the power play, I should say. Yes, thank you, Chris. They're 5 for 52 now on the power play since January 1st. During that same period of time, from January 1st to now, they are ranked 4th worst when it comes to goals per game, considering the team was up at the top echelon of the league very early on. I don't know, Chris. I'll say it again. I don't know if it's the Stars playing really badly or they're just. I mean, it's the hockey gods.
No, it was the Stars playing really badly tonight. That's the absolute explanation. Is the Stars sucked, especially the first line tonight. That line total was a -2. All 3 of them. They don't score a goal. None of them are over 40% on the faceoff dot, and they only have 4 shots on goal. 3 of them are from Jason Robertson. So, pretty horrible night by all of them. It was so bad that the first line was broken up in the third period to try and get anything going because their best player was Johnston again, and Roope Hintz was having a terrible game, and still nothing was able to go. So at least DeBoer did what I wanted him to last night. Said you want to mix things up. He was forced to, kind of, with Glendening being out, and then he really just went all in the third period and it still didn't matter. So, yikes.
I mean, we need to see a reunification of Seguin and Ben. Pavelski needs to play on the third line. Put Wyatt Johnston with Seguin and Ben, I guess, and maybe that starts going. Put Roope Hintz with Gariana. I mean,
it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, they just have
to
play better. They just sucked. Every single guy on the ice sucked. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of line combinations you have if every single player is going to play like crap. So.
What was the most frustrating part of the game for you tonight?
I mean, there's just no offense. There's no pressure. The forecheck is lazy. The forecheck is super lazy. They have almost no pressure in their own zone with some pretty terrible defensemen that were giving us chances trying to turn the puck over, and we still couldn't get pressure. So the forecheck was very lazy. Their forecheck was way better than ours, first of all. They won every single puck battle. We couldn't win a puck battle. We couldn't get out of our own zone. For some reason, it looked like the Columbus Blue Jackets were the best cycle team in the NHL tonight. The Stars couldn't move the puck out of their zone one time once Miro Heiskanen was off the ice. Miro Heiskanen can't play 30 minutes every single night. And that's like what we're asking him to do every single time. So, and he doesn't have a great night either. He has 4 shots on goal, and he should have had 3 goals tonight, and he doesn't bury any of them. It's unbelievable.
Well, the thing was, is he was trying to do it himself. I mean, he was flat out trying to get offense himself, and the goal that I still can't believe he missed that shot in the first period. But again, I put this in our text group when we were talking about this, and I said, y'all were. I was getting ganged up on a little bit, and I was just kind of stuff like, I don't care that they're playing well and they're getting chances and yada yada yada. They're not scoring, and realized they didn't have their best scoring chance until they got scored on. And what was the exact thing that I said last night? Sometimes the only way that it seems to spark this team to get going is when they get scored against. They don't take the fight to the other team first. They're not proactive. They're reactive. Anything that happens, they're more reactive to it.
That didn't really.
That's something that, like, when Boston came into Dallas and they played against the Stars, the first period they were flat out the better team, and they took the pressure to the Stars. That is something that we have not seen from this team in a very long time. And I would argue that that's because we've been focusing too much on the defense. And I think that's probably why that the power play is struggling a lot. And it's also why that scoring in general is struggling a lot. But even past that, I put this on Twitter tonight. The Stars were not playing against the Columbus Blue Jackets. They were playing against themselves tonight. 100% were playing against themselves and their mental capacity and their brains, because they are their own roadblock right now. They should have wiped the floor with the Columbus Blue Jackets without Elvis Merzlikins, their best goaltender, and without Johnny Gaudreau, arguably one of the best players in the NHL in the past year or two, especially considering the line he was on in Calgary. So I know there's a lot to unpack there, Chris. What are you thinking?
I don't. Well, first of all, I don't think that we just sit back and wait every single time, because the third period happened after they scored the go-ahead goal in the third period. There was no pushback from the Stars either. That was the worst period for the Stars, was the third. You can say that's because they were tired, which is fair, but I mean, it was just pretty awful.
The Columbus
overall.
Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just that. I don't fully agree with us just waiting for them to score. I just think we can't score in general. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I just think that with everybody right now, honestly, I think the issue with every single player, they're of business and they're just sucking it up big time. So I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think it's the Stars' mental game is kind of getting in on them right now. They're not able to score because the hockey guys are against them. They're just getting some extreme puck luck going, I guess unlucky puck luck. And it's just a mixture of lots of things right now. And it's just super frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, there were some good things tonight. I liked the fourth line tonight. I mean, the Freddie Squared with Foxa, I liked how they were playing tonight, especially in the first period. I liked how they played.
I guess.
I'm trying to find some positives here, Chris. I mean, just looking at my notes, it's just this person had a chance. This person had a chance. I guess we can talk about the second period and how insane that was.
Yeah, I mean, they were both not goals. I mean, the first one was clearly offsides. The other one was clearly goalie interference. If that happens to Wedgwood, I'd be screaming for goalie interference. So, I mean, they have to have a better response than to just roll over and just take it. I mean, the first one, Ty Dellandrea does that himself. He responds on his own. The second one, just nothing happens. I mean, really.
And I mean, it's not like they could argue that Jamie Benn wasn't in the crease. He was in the crease. I mean, his skate was
goalie interference. In the crease. It was. But, I mean, I'm more shocked that there's no response. I mean, the entire crowd is into the game at that point. It's not like it was a silent building either. You had all the energy from the crowd with you as well. and it in the second period wasn't even their best period. The first still was.
Yeah.
So there's just no energy. I mean, and we can blame that on the back-to-back, I guess, but at some point you have to be a little bit better on second nights of back-to-backs, and that's another point on the season that we haven't been good at all, ever. I mean, if there's ever time to have a good night of a back-to-back, it's tonight against the worst team in the league when you're in a slump. So, yeah.
And let's be honest here as well. I mean, this is probably the worst part of the slump right now. But you got to think that the odds are eventually. You got to think that the odds are eventually going to go in our favor, and we will start playing better again. But it's always this first little bit of the really bad slump. This is the first really bad slump we've had all season.
Yeah.
Right. We haven't had a really bad slump, and this is it. And again, I'm trying to be positive here. If you're going to have a slump, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And the only thing that would kind of suck about having a slump right now is that the trade deadline is coming up. And if there's any players that have no move clauses or anything like that, and I'm not specifically talking about Patrick Kane, I know people will point that out, but if there's a player that was thinking about coming to Dallas right now and he has a no move clause, I mean, he might be changing in his mind about that right now, considering what's going on.
That'd be pretty rash to just not go somewhere just because they're having a slump. I think that's stupid, but
well, I agree too. But the way they look at it is which team is going to show up for the playoffs?
I don't think hockey players are that stupid.
No, I don't think they're that stupid, but it's still a decent conversation to have because the excuse me. Like, did the Stars overperform in the first half of the season? And are they really not a number one seed?
It's not like they're overperforming. They've had a bad 10-game stretch. I mean, and even then, we still have had points in 8 of our last 10. So it's not like we're falling off the map and we've been so bad the second half of the season. We've been bad for 10 games. I mean,
yeah, but Chris, we've only won 3 games out of that grouping.
Okay, we've been bad for 10 games. Before that, we were still a great hockey team. We're still the number 1 team in the Western Conference. So it's not like we've completely fallen off the earth. We are in a bad rut, for sure. But we are still a very good hockey team. We're still picking up points, and we're still the top of our division.
And maybe this is just me speaking as a Stars fan, but it always feels like with this team that whenever they're given like an opportunity, they just don't take it. And I don't know why this was popping back into my head. And we had an opportunity to go to the playoffs. All we had to do in the last game of the season was to beat Minnesota. And this was years ago. I think this might have been 2014, 2015. We've talked about it on the podcast before. All they had to do was win the game, and they lost the game, didn't get to go to the playoffs. I think Nashville got to go to the playoffs instead. With this particular instance, the Stars had a chance to run away by far as the best team in the Western Conference and show that, they will be able to compete with these teams in the Eastern Conference. And right now, if I'm the Eastern Conference teams, I'm looking at Dallas as the best team in the league. And I wrote this also on Twitter. And I'm thinking I'm not scared at all, assuming Dallas makes it to the Stanley Cup final. Because right now, even though they're in this rut and everything, based off of points and the points percentage, they should be the team to be in the Western Conference final. But I wouldn't be scared of us right now.
Well, I think that's an overreaction too. I think there are more good teams in the Western Conference than there are in the Eastern Conference. So like maybe the top of the East is better than the top of the West, but it looks so much more drastic because the East, there's 2 halves of the Eastern Conference. There's the good half and the bad half. In the Western Conference, there is a good 2/3 and there is a very bad 1/3. So that makes the point spread look a lot different. So I don't agree with that fully. And I don't even know if that matters really when you're coming down to it. I mean, we're not in a playoff race against the East. So who cares what they're thinking? Well, all you have to do is beat the Eastern Conference teams one time in a 7-game series. So I don't care what the East thinks, to be honest, but I don't think there's a reason to overreact to a bad 10-game slump when every other part of the season we have been essentially fantastic. So yeah, this really sucks, and it is really annoying and frustrating, especially when we thought we were getting into the easier part of our schedule. But to say like, oh, nobody is going to want to come here, we might as well not even try to go to the playoffs. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of an overreaction.
I'm not saying that nobody should come here or anything like that, but what I am saying is that if you're one of those Eastern Conference teams, you're not afraid of the Dallas Stars. That's just
I mean, why do we care about that though?
Because this team right now should be number 1 in the league in the Western Conference. They should be running away with this conference. There should be the amount of points. I'm not saying it has to be as extreme as Boston is with the Eastern Conference. That's crazy. But they have to be better than this. There should be no competition between how the Stars have been playing and the rest of the Western Conference. The Stars should be up like 5, 6, 7 points on the rest of the Western Conference.
I honestly just think that's a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, we thought they were going to be a third place team in the Central Division at best this year. They are wildly outperforming what we thought at the beginning of the season, and they get into their first long slump, and we're saying that they should be in the first by a wide margin. That's just inaccurate in my opinion.
So, I mean, I wanted to mention also just another cool thing that happened tonight. It was really cool to see Trevor Daley. That was fantastic to see. It was cool to see him.
I'm so happy that he left and got 2 cups too. I mean, yeah, perfect guy for that to happen too.
Yeah, he went to Pittsburgh and got to play with Crosby and got 2 cups. So, and also we wanted to mention Paul Gerard as well. He passed away recently because of a battle with cancer. He's a former assistant coach within the Stars organization, and it's just really hard to see that. It seems like that's been happening a lot around the hockey world lately. Lots of people losing their lives to cancer. So thoughts and prayers out to him and his family as well. And it was a very nice gesture by the Dallas Stars organization to give him a moment of silence before the game tonight. So, well, Chris, I really don't want to talk about anything else. So is there anything else we need to mention before we close this up really early tonight?
Nope. Only that's not really early. I mean, we're pretty much on pace for a normal episode.
Well, lately we've been going like 30, 40 minutes, not like 20 minutes. This one's going to be like 20 minutes. So, okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. I know it's a shorter episode today, but I mean, we've talked about everything and there's nothing else to talk about right now with this team. Eventually they'll get it out of this rut and hopefully they will do it sooner rather than later. Thank you guys for supporting us and listening to our stuff and supporting this podcast. Please consider leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Click like and subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube or if you're on Twitch as well. And then, as always, please go and check out StarcasticRemarksShop.com. That's the best way to support us and what we do here. We'd really appreciate if you guys would do that as well. But we also support just you listening. We thank y'all for doing that. Along with Chris, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. And we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. We will be back with you guys next week. Goodbye.